Hey guys, welcome to another video. In our previous video, we started talking about public health in our series about towards health. I will be talking about public health, and we mentioned the important things in the maintenance of public health. We mentioned refuse disposal, sewage disposal, protection of water supply and provision of clean water, food hygiene, control of diseases, and health organizations. So in today's video, we'll be talking about sewage disposal in the maintenance of public health. We're going to start by defining what sewage is. Now, sewage is wastewater materials, or we can say it's waste resulting from the following. We're basically talking about liquid waste. So we're talking about waste from feces and urine, that's from the toilet, waste from bath water, waste from wastewater from houses and streets, waste from factories, agricultural waste, and waste from the kitchen. So when we talk about sewage, we are basically talking about liquid waste, water waste, and we find sewage in our day-to-day. We have sewage, or we produce sewage in our day-to-day activities. In our the toilet, the waste from toilets, the waste from bath waters, the waste from the kitchen where we cook and do some things in the kitchen, the waste from factories, agricultural waste, and so on and so forth. So that's what we mean by sewage, liquid waste. So I want to talk about how we can dispose this liquid waste, how we can properly dispose liquid waste, which is sewage. Yeah, one thing we need to note is that sewage contains 99% water, and the remaining 1% is composed of impurities and microorganisms. So, like we said, sewage is liquid waste, so it is mainly composed of water. So it's 99% water and 1% impurities and microorganisms. So we have several methods of disposing sewage. Some of the common methods of sewage disposal include the direct disposal method. That's pit latrine. Example is pit latrine. That's the direct disposal method. And we have an example as pit latrine. Then we have the conservatory method. We have example as the bucket latrine and chemical latrine. And we also have the water carriage system. So we'll be talking about these different methods of disposing sewage and how they are applied, at their differences, and which one is more effective or efficient. Now let's start with the first one, which we call the direct disposal. The example that we have there is pit latrine. Now, pit latrine is mainly used in rural areas. It is a very common method of sewage disposal used in rural areas. And pit latrine is simply digging a pit into the ground that is about 3 meters deep and 1 meter wide. And the opening is always covered when not in use. So that's the way we come about a pit latrine. A hole that is about 3 meters deep is dug, and it's also about 1 meter wide, and you cover the opening. That's how you get a pit latrine. Now, a pit latrine system is an unhygienic method of sewage disposal because there is handling of. Now, a pit latrine is a hygienic method of sewage disposal as there is no handling of human waste. So this method is hygienic because there's no direct contact with the waste, with the sewage that is being disposed. So it's a hygienic method of sewage disposal. Now, in some places, we also have what we call borehole latrines. And as we can imply from the name, the hole is dug deeper than a normal pit latrine. The holes will be about 6 to 7 meters deep. So borehole latrines last longer than pit latrines. So pit latrine is just digging a hole where the human waste can be released into, whether it's urine or feces. So when the hole reaches its limit, when it's filled up, that hole is abandoned, is covered up and abandoned, and another hole is dug. So borehole latrines can last longer than regular pit latrines because they are deeper. So we have borehole latrines and we have regular pit latrines. Now we also have another method of sewage disposal, which is called the bucket latrine. Now, it's a common method of disposing sewage in rural areas of developing countries like Nigeria, in very underdeveloped or developing areas. What, as the name implies, we're just talking about passing feces and urine into a bucket. So the bucket that we make use of in bucket latrine is made of galvanized iron or rubber. So after the urine and feces is passed into this bucket, a night worker or some person that collects this bucket and empties the waste from it into his own bucket. So this waste is then transported from all the houses. It's collected from all the houses that have this bucket. So the waste is collected from these houses, then transported to a dumping site where they are emptied into a pit. So that's bucket latrine system. The waste is passed into a bucket, then the bucket is collected, or the waste from the bucket is collected, then transported to a pit for dumping. Now, this system of sewage disposal is unhygienic because one, it involves handling of waste, and also it is used by many people. So it is very unhygienic, and because of these reasons, it risks contamination of soil. It can risk contamination of the water we drink and the food also, our food. So it's a very unhygienic method because it's difficult to keep the buckets that we use for this bucket latrine. It's very difficult to keep it clean and free of pathogens. So, and also flies can be attracted to this. So this bucket latrine is unhygienic and can cause spread of diseases. So it's an unhygienic method of sewage disposal, and it's not an advisable method. Now, the next type of method for sewage disposal that we have is chemical latrine. Now, in the chemical latrine, feces and urine is passed into a watertight container that contains a disinfectant and a liquefier. So the contents of this tank or this latrine is disposed continuously, either by percolation or into the surrounding soil, or you can remove it at intervals. So the feces and the urine is passed into a watertight container, and the container contains a disinfectant, and it also contains a liquefier. Then the contents are disposed either by percolation into the soil, or it is emptied at regular intervals. It is emptied and buried. The contents is emptied and buried. Now, this type of latrine is very useful for houses that are isolated, houses that are isolated from other houses. It's very useful because it's not going to be easy to use maybe a bucket latrine system that there has to be emptying of the buckets at regular intervals. So this type of latrine is very useful for isolated houses, and it's also used in aircrafts and also in railway trains. This kind of latrine or sewage disposal is used. So it is it is used for majorly places that are secluded or isolated. So that's that for chemical latrine.